The greatest lie humanity tells itself is that we have outgrown human sacrifice. We call it by different names now and make our offering to different gods. We offer young men we call soldiers, as if the designation means that their mothers cry less when they die. We call masses of humanity collateral damage and turn our eyes away from the pictures of their lifeless bodies as we sip our morning coffee. And the truth is, we don't do it because we are heartless. We do it because we believe that it is necessary for the world to keep running. We do it because we believe that the gods whose favor we so desperately seek, freedom, security, prosperity, flourishing, that they demand blood as the price of their favor. We do it because we cannot see any other choice, that some need to die for the world to flourish.
Is far more disturbing than this. What is really happening in Gaza is a ritual sacrifice. What the Israelis are doing is quite horrific because it is really this sort of sacrifice. Why? Because 47%, almost half of the population of Gaza is under 18 years old. The majority of people who are getting killed are in fact children. What is most striking or blatant about what's happening in Gaza is that we can all see it for ourselves. And it's almost as though the Israelis want us to see it and want us to hate them. Israel could do it this secretly and no one would talk about it. And in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, the population of Gaza would all be gone. It would be a very secret, right? Instead, they choose to do this in front of the world. And my argument to you is that this is intentional. They want the world to hate them. Because by doing this, they create the ultimate taboo, right? We find this disgusting and contemptuous, so the entire world will unite against Israel. But guess what? That's what their religion wants. In the extreme form of Jewish eschatology, or the religion, they believe that at the end of the world, Israel will fight the entire world and God will help Israel triumph in the end.
If they think we're bluffing, we go forward with it. We have the right to use any and all weapons in our disposal, academically speaking, nuclear weapons. And I'm tired of using euphemisms. I'm tired of saying, well, we have something, in the basement, but we won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East. It's enough already. I said, no, let me bring you back to October 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. And what happened? An A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings, and we told the Americans, take your eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapons. I'll leave it at that. And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely, except this time I want us to go forward with it if necessary.
I'm telling you, they're going to kill this woman. They are going to kill Candace Owens. This woman's life is in danger. I'm telling you, she's speaking damn facts.
For Trump, this is mask down, okay? People are referring to this as treason, and that would, I think, be the accurate term to describe what is happening here. He is going to deny Americans in need disaster funding if he finds out that that city or state that is in need is boycotting Israel.
Americans are going to be punished that if they boycott Israel and they've gone through a natural disaster where their house has been destroyed, they've lost their family members, they're going to be told, no, you are not getting no relief funding because you boycott Israel.
And Trump is saying, yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you screaming. I hear that that's a hurricane and, maybe it's wiped away your entire family, your entire house. But do you support Israel?
They don't even let you to choose who you can buy from. This is the Western democracy.
מי שיחרים אותנו מוחרם בעצמו. בשנים האחרונות קידמנו בארצות הברית ויש כבר ברוב המדינות שם חוקים שמי שמחרים את ישראל נענש בעצמו. אז זה לא יעזור להם, אנחנו לא מתרגשים מזה, ואנחנו נלחמים בזה.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine saying, we're going to change some laws in America? It's like, what the flipping are you talking about? You've got a foreign government, a foreign president, telling you what he's planning on doing in America, like he owns America, and he does. You guys are not United States of America, you are United States of Israel. You are owned by them. And this is the beginning of the end of Israel. The Americans are waking up to this.
Try the Quran.
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan. There are two different kinds. And those people, in the latter days, it's called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people. And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days will be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan. In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. They're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also they do something else. They're not smart.
And you see, of course, Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and the media. They had the whole thing, you see. But he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
You believe that?
Yes, sir.
I can't ever say it, but I believe it.
No, but if you get elected the second time, you might be able to do something. You see, the Bible makes.
Do you think Charlie Kirk's death is about one man? Wake up. It's not. This is straight out of a PSYOPs playbook. And once I lay this out, you'll never see the news the same way again. You see, there are these 3 laws. These aren't theories. These are not my opinions. These are laws. And they've been true for centuries. Empires used them, governments perfected them, and today they're being run on all of us. You see, law number 1 is this. It's called division. A divided nation is a controlled nation. Don't miss this. If they want control, they must divide us. Red versus blue, left versus right, neighbors against neighbors. Why? Because peace is power, and peace in your hands terrifies them. So what do? They strip it from you. They take the peace, they take the unity, because unity breaks down their rule. Unity is strength. And strength in the hands of the people is the one thing they can't allow. Law number 2 is chaos. But the chaos must be amplified. That's why every headline is designed to inflame, not inform. The tragedy isn't the story, it's the fight about the tragedy that is. And science always proves this. Division spikes cortisol. So what happens? You shut down. The rational brain shuts down. It makes us become reactive. So what happens? We stop thinking and we start fighting. And once we're in chaos, we're not citizens anymore. We're just pawns. And then law number 3 is control. Control must be maintained. So here's how it works. Once you're divided, and once you're stressed out, and once you're screaming at your neighbor, you will beg for order. And then they hand it to you. The solution, the fix. But it's not yours, it's theirs. It's the leash they slipped around your neck while you thank them for saving you. So please hear me. The playbook is simple. Division, chaos, control. And until you see it for what it is, you are not awake. You are not resisting, and I'm telling you this, you're not fighting the system, you're fighting for it. So the next time you feel yourself ready to scream, ready to tear down your neighbor over politics, stop and ask yourself this one question. What am I really fighting for?
I'd like some legal representation. These police officers have not allowed me to have any. I don't know what this is all about.
Kill the president?
No, sir, I didn't. People keep asking me that. Sir?
You shoot the president?
I work in that building.
Were you in the building at the time?
Naturally, if I work in that building, yes, sir.
Back up, man. Did you shoot the president?
No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
President?
Right now, Israel, the Zionists, CIA, and Saudi Arabia are the three devils that need to be put back in a very small box. So we're essentially looking at the U.S. deep state wants a war with North Korea and a war in the Middle East and a war with China over the Spratly Islands. Goldman Sachs desperately needs a war in the Middle East to drive the price of oil up, or they're going to lose billions and billions of dollars on their bad bets. ISIS was created with money from Saudi Arabia, trading from CIA, and weapons from the Pentagon. ISIS is a wholly owned subsidiary of the U.S. deep state. So from the end of World War II, the United States of America has institutionalized evil, and the U.S. government has been a wholly controlled subsidiary of Wall Street. Now, Congress is not only bribed, it's also being blackmailed. NSA has been blackmailing, spying on, and blackmailing U.S. politicians and judges for the last 10 years.
What looks random is rarely random with them.
Just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me. And in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time. But nothing is by coincidence.
Nothing is by coincidence. Like the fact Erica chose to give the devil horns at a memorial, a public symbol of initiation and allegiance, a hand signal that says I'm in the order. Its shape recalls the horns of Baphomet, turning a casual pose into a ritual badge flashed in plain sight, yet hidden from the uninitiated. Then there's the fact that her family's backstory makes less sense than Barack Obama's CIA fabricated official record. Major news profiles describe her as raised by a single mother in Arizona, but that's just the cover story.
Erica Kirk talking about how her mother, when they moved to Arizona, why they moved to Arizona, because her mother works for the Department of Homeland Security.
Hey, can I ask a question? It's maybe off topic. How did your mom choose Phoenix?
So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of an opportunity for a female business owner out here, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. And so she had other business partners that were out here that were already in that industry, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. She was getting involved with the government.
Then there's her family's connections to ancient elite orders and her father's connections to Israel. These are ties that run deep, reaching into defense contracts and even the very construction of the IDF's Iron Dome system.
Erica Kirk's no grieving saint. She's wired into the machine. Knights of Malta? Spot on. She flashed that Black Cross pendant in her first widow clip, same one every sovereign military order knight wears, and her family's donated heavy to Catholic orders forever. Freemason angle's subtler. Her dad, Kent Francefay, wasn't just Raytheon. He chaired their Israel division, funneled billions in Iron Dome cash while Charlie's old man designed Trump Tower. Yeah, but also the bunker levels nobody admits exist. Erica? Inherited $23 million at 25 from a trust. Come on, that's not beauty queen money. That's Mossad's slush fund. She started Everyday Heroes as cover, funneled donations straight to pro-Israel NGOs. And that G-ring? Not grief. Grand Lodge symbol, worn by 33rd degree insiders. Delivered that speech 2 days after the shot because it was pre-taped. Voice forensics say the room echo doesn't match. Lighting's wrong, and Tyler Robinson's still denying he fired. She's carrying the legacy all right. TPUSA's already slipping to Jewish board vets who loathe her. So expect her moved on by Christmas, maybe with a Zionist tech bro. Wonder Woman? More like Handler who got her asset clipped.
With family ties like these, it's no wonder Charlie seemed to know that he was treading on dangerous ground, grimacing, twitching, and betraying himself with nervous tics whenever the questions got too close.
You can't go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation, okay?
That's
and
right.
Israel, we have funded, we have supported, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite, but my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions, not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages.
It's offensive to those of us who have been out there defending them in many instances against critics on our own side.
This is dangerous ground. And I know some people are going to be upset. But that's the point of alternative media, saying what others won't. And trust me, people do know the truth. Take Tucker Carlson. At the Charlie Kirk Memorial, he slipped it past the censors with a parable, an analogy about Jesus Christ, silence for speaking truth, cut down not by accident but by design. In his words, guys in a room eating hummus decided the solution was simple: just kill the messenger. A quiet hint, but a powerful one, and it didn't go unnoticed.
Ultimately, he was a Christian evangelist, and it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted.
This isn't just a story, it's a call to action. Share it, question everything, and remember, together, we are stronger than the silence they want to keep us in. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elites, but we need your help.
Jews rule this world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them. They invented socialism, communism, human rights and democracy so that persecuting them would appear to be wrong, so they may enjoy equal rights with others. With these, they have now gained control of the most powerful countries, and they, this tiny community, had become a world power.
In a speech in 2003, you said, quote, "The Jews rule the world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them." In 2012, you wrote you were glad to be labeled anti-Semitic and that sympathy with Jewish victims of the Holocaust was wasted and misplaced. Isn't it the case that your political legacy, your accomplishments, will forever be tainted until you apologize and withdraw such anti-Semitic remarks?
No. I believe I'm speaking the truth. You look at America, it is totally dedicated to supporting Israel even when Israel commits international crime. In fact, candidates for election need to inform the Jewish lobby. American Jews mostly support Israel.
Mahathir Mohamad, should all Muslims be conflated with ISIL then? If everyone is collectively held responsible for the actions of people in their faith?
No, it shouldn't, because we are not working in that direction. What I said was that the Jews are ruling the world by proxy.
That's an outrageous claim with no evidence.
Of course,
how can you say that Jews are ruling the world? That is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, is it not?
If you refuse to see evidence, then I can help you.
What is your...
Jews are not too many. There are not very many Jews in this world. By themselves, they cannot rule this world, but they can influence countries to do the work for them. And America is very much under Jewish influence. That is why it supports Israel. Whether Israel is doing the right thing or not, whether it commits crimes or not, Israel does all kinds of horrible things.
How could 6 million Jews be murdered in gas chambers and not be a decrease in the world's Jewish population?
Throughout all the wars, what a real Holocaust is all about and what a phony one is all about.
Which Holocaust do you think is phony?
The Jewish Holocaust.
Without the Holocaust, there wouldn't be a nation of Israel. Without the Holocaust, American soldiers wouldn't be dying in the Middle East. Without the Holocaust, we wouldn't be starting a war with Iran when Israel has about 150 atom bombs. Figure it out yourself.
Anything from Zionist Hollywood, AIPAC-influenced America. This is what's responsible for the Holocaust.
The only thing I contend is that gas chambers were not used as a murder weapon, that soap was not made out of the victim's body fat, and lampshades was not made out of their skin.
The Jewish people have still not repopulated themselves to the pre-Nazi Holocaust levels.
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust?
That's what I'm asking. I get so many different...
7 to 8 million is usually the number?
7 to 8 million.
Does it matter?
No, I mean, regardless, it's a massive killing of them. But
is the Holocaust real?
Yeah, of course the Holocaust is real.
Then it shouldn't matter.
Everybody who's been evil, the bankers, the elite pedophiles, the people who are working for Israel and Saudi Arabia and other countries, but particularly the dual citizens of Israel who are traitors to the U.S. government, they thrive on chaos. Central banks are neither central nor federal nor national. They don't work in the public interest. They're basically legalized looting. Let me point out that the Founding Fathers were of, by, and for rich people with property. I would also point out to you that too many of our Founding Fathers were Freemasons. The federal government today is authorized by Congress to lie. It can lie in its budget. It can lie across the board. In fact, the Department of Justice has claimed the right to lie to the courts. We should abolish the National Security Council. The National Security Council is how the deep state controls the White House. And NSA is not about protecting America. It's not about answering questions. It's about keeping the problem alive to keep the money moving. NSA is a corrupt organization. Part of the problem is that Congress has been bribed and blackmailed. I mean, every member of Congress is either being bribed or blackmailed one way or the other. There are no exceptions.
Would you like to see Sharia law in Canada replace Canadian law?
At some point it will. You know, because we have families, we are making babies. You're not. Your population is going down the slump. That's right. Yeah. And by 2060, according to Pew Research Institute, your research, by 2060 Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over. What are you going to do then? Actually, are you going to oppose Sharia even then?
You do want a Muslim majority nation in the West End, correct?
Just like you had a Western majority nation in the land of Native Americans, one day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada. Right in your face.
We have Canadian law here, and you say that you want Sharia law to displace Canadian law. That doesn't sound very respectful.
In majority, you wouldn't have any other option. Go to your queen and tell her to change the laws.
Change the laws to what, sir? To Sharia law?
No, change the laws to not allow any more Muslims to come to Canada. We owe our allegiance and our loyalty first and foremost to our religion, not to the Queen, to be honest. When I went for my so-called oath, I was silent, I didn't say anything. It was your responsibility to make sure you got it out of me. The United States of America is never going to be prosperous, and it is never going to be at peace unless we eradicate the Zionist parasite in our economy, our entertainment system, our mass media, our social media.
and of course our educational system and our government. The Rothschilds, the Vatican, and the Chabad supremacist cult have basically a global network of control that relies on gold and blackmail. And pedophilia is a huge part of it. Right now, we don't have the public and public government. We have two criminal classes, one called Republican, one called Democrat. We have been deliberately dumbed down over the last 50 years. We've been dumbed down chemically. Fluoride is one way in which we've been dumbed down. Too many people across America have become stupid. They are in a polarized mindset, and they're not capable of having a fact-based conversation. The amount of garbage that the average American is subjected to on a 24-hour basis is it's no wonder we've become an idiot nation. We have fragmented America. We have tried to eradicate individualism. We have tried to eradicate family and community, and that is all part of this globalist agenda